Now, I find it interesting how quickly we forget things, because these were the guys that just a little bit earlier were like just talking on and on and on about all the great things they did when they went out on this little village tour, preaching, teaching, and healing people. And if you remember, at that time, they were told to take what with them? Nothing. So it's amazing that they went off without Jesus, with nothing, and they end up being able to do some incredible things where they come back and they can't talk enough about it, and now all of a sudden they're with Jesus with a little something. But we can't do it. What are you talking about us feeding? I mean, what are you saying? And I think it's interesting how quickly we forget too. You know, how God provides, but we forget. How God comes through, not always when we want him, but when we need him, and we forget. God doesn't always give us everything we want, but he gives us what he thinks we need. He goes boss mode on us, and we forget. We try to rationalize and explain and justify, and we can't. I mean, how are we supposed to do this? And we still do it today. He says, you do this. What, me? Me do this? There's no way I could do that. Jesus gave them the power, then they went. And I think they forgot. I think they got caught up in the ability and the reaction, the response, that they forgot who it was that gave them the power and the authority in the first place. And I think before we're too hard on them, we do the same thing. We got to understand, when Jesus, then us. When Jesus, then me. But when Jesus acts, when Jesus says, when Jesus does, then we can. But only if he comes first, because he's boss mode. And he's reminding them that I'm just not one of the guys, I'm God. We must not overestimate what we're doing on behalf of Jesus, or what I can do for Jesus. We must not overestimate that. I think sometimes we forget who gives us the power and authority. Because without the power and authority, you can't do anything. I can't do anything. And I think we overestimate what we can do for Jesus, as if we're doing him a favor. And we kind of overestimate ourselves. Here's the other thing we do. We underestimate what Jesus can do through you. We overestimate what I can do for him. We underestimate what he can do through you. You see, he can do a lot through you. He wants to do a lot through you. He has the power and authority to make things happen through you. But do not forget who gives you that power and who gives you that authority. You see, I think the disciples overestimated what they could do in their power, and so they kind of fell asleep. And Jesus said, I'm going to go boss mode on you, and I'm going to remind you. I mean, you think you got it figured out? Go feed them. You do it. And then they were reminded, as they're carrying those full baskets back, what the power and authority of God can do with just 2 fish and 5 loaves. And I say all that to challenge you this morning, that they learn what they can do when Jesus